And yeah, well, we've got the first team here, so are we ready to get started?
Yes.
Sweet. Let's have you guys, you should be able to share your video. Who, which one of the actual people here has the video? If you could raise your hand and then we can give you permissions. Anybody?
Sorry about the silence. I thought I was.
Oh yeah,
my
no.
mic was on. Just stand by one moment as I finish
Cool.
Promoting the full team. And then, okay, there we go.
Cool. Yeah, it looks like we're set up here. So as long as you've enabled audio, I think we're ready to start.
Hi there, my name is Chris. I'm going to introduce you to Batua, a wallet concept for India, designed for a world where everyone is making everyday payments using crypto. This is running on a layer 2 with gasless meta transactions for a nice user experience and an Indian rupee stablecoin. This introduces Rupesa, the basis for all payments in India. QR codes are already commonplace. There are almost 700 million smartphone users. This would be deployed on layer 1 for security. This would be on layer 2 for scalability. So I'm now going to hand over to Aditi, who's going to talk about UX research and UI design.
Regarding the UX and UI, we started off with some detailed user personas from diverse Indian cultures, ranging from a tea maker who's a complete beginner to this entire concept to a crypto nerd. Stepping into the user's shoes, we realized we have to keep the app super simple to optimize it for a beginner like a tea maker who can easily accept payments through the Batua app. Our user research suggested that 9 out of 10 users in India do not use English. They use many regional languages, very much a part of the Indian culture. So we decided to keep the app multilingual that supports 11 languages. We built some super simple onboarding flows, making the user choose their language, briefing them about Batua, followed by really simple interaction with the wallet. And yes, we did work out both the light and the dark modes here. Really dived into making the payments flow very easy for the user to make hassle-free payments. We tried to keep a beginner's mindset to craft a simple user journey while sticking to the Indian roots as a brand. I'd now like to hand over to Bo.
All right, my name is Bo, and I'm going to talk about the stablecoin. So this is going to look quite a bit like MakerDAO. The core is the exact same as MakerDAO. When MakerDAO launched, they didn't really have too many Oracle options, so they rolled their own. These days we have Chainlink and Uniswap are both really nice modern oracles that are hard to manipulate. We pulled from Crypto Compare, went through a Chainlink node to supply the peg price, and this governs how much of this rupee stablecoin you can get for your ETH collateral. And then Uniswap is where you go to pay the fee in cow. Uniswap Oracle is kind of nice because it gives us a real price for a stablecoin that we can compare to the peg and then auto adjust the stability fee without needing a governance vote. So now I'm going to hand it off to Shivani.
Hi, my name is Shiv and I'll talk about layer 2 payments. Layer 1 is pretty expensive and it doesn't make sense to do small payments. Layer 2, Matic to the rescue. We can use their peers bridge to deposit our RSAs from layer 1. Our layer 2 child tokens already have native meta transactions built into them. So once we have our funds on layer 2, our app that talks to Biconomy's relayers and help us to run transactions gaslessly. All right, so let's see app in action.
Yeah, I've got a lot of money. Okay, so I'm gonna allow. So I'm gonna confirm this. Matic, right?
Yeah.
So this is how you can simply pay using Batua, a Bitcoin maximalist promoting Ethereum application.
Pretty cool. Now we're going to move on to the questions and judging and the next part.
Yeah, great job, guys. I mean, this looks really good. What was the hardest thing that you ran into? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here. And what was the most difficult thing you ran into?
Like, I think for me, it was keeping all those moving parts working end to end, like all the different pieces that need to get pulled together to link sort of a price oracle governing a whole heap of different moving parts, all the way through to like making sure the user experience was good for a chaiwala, like trying to manage that whole thing. Anyone else got something to say?
Well, the hardest thing about the price oracle is that we didn't have one to start with. So we kind of had to go from like the roots to get the price off chain onto on chain. A lot of the other currencies have price oracles already on chain, and I just spin our own.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by the scope of what you built. It's really cool. Chris, nice to see you, by the way. Good to see you again.
Hey, Brendan.
Yeah. So one question I had though is, what is the connection with Biconomy? What I didn't fully understand that integration, that part of it.
Shiv, do you want to talk about that, Shiv?
So Biconomy has built this meta transaction standard based on EIP 712, and that allows us to they have the relayers, so we can submit a signed transaction to their relayers, which can then submit the transaction on chain. And since the native transaction part is built into the ERC20, you can do that gasless transaction.
I see. So they provide the meta transaction layer for Matic then, in that case.
Yeah, and this is what allowed the UX to be like no gas, no settings, just straight payment, and gas gets handled in the background.
Right on. Did you, because I know you have Chris on your team and he's a UX fanatic. Did you test this with users? Did you have any experience actually putting it in the hands of people?
Yeah, like
yeah, you talk, Shiv.
Well, yeah, I did ask my parents, and then we were like, this video was shot at Cocoon, and
There are only 3 pages, so a lot of people were kind of blown away by how simple it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just a website. So is it even safe? How is it safe? And then showed them the magic word backup, and they kind of amazed by, it had full payment functionality with just a few screens of.
Yeah, the one question was like, what? There's no login, there's no username, password. Like, how does this work? Like, it's magic. So yeah, we did get it in the hands of some real users who are kind of curious to see how it worked. And the guy in the video was also kind of someone who was one of our first user testers.
And he was a Bitcoin maximalist, apparently.
yeah.
It's something I joke about with him now and again. So now I have it on camera, him admitting that he's a maxi. So there you go.
So converting one at a time. Okay, this is good.
That's awesome.
Slowly.
What do you guys think about next steps? What's next for your team? What are you guys thinking about? On ramping, off ramping, anything of that sort?
Like, I think from our perspective, it's all about getting stable oracles to govern some of these stablecoin systems. So that's kind of like where I'm putting a lot of my focus, like getting an ETH INR feed. Bo, do you want to talk?
Yeah, because for the hackathon, we just had one API endpoint, put it on chain in one spot. But when we deploy this for real, we got to get more than 5 data sources, aggregate them, medianize it properly.
And
Next
for
time-
on-ramp, off-ramp, we are like planning to connect it with India's UPI system, which already like lets users to make peer-to-peer like transactions, because we have like open source API for all banking information here. And so that would be easy for
Super smooth on-ramp from UPI onto a stablecoin. INR stablecoin.
I hate to cut everyone off here because yes, this seems very cool. Next time I'm going to give you a heads up 1 minute before the timer ends, but we are out of time for questions. We got to move along.
Thank
to the
you,
next
Henry.
group.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone at ETHOnline. You're
Thanks,
amazing.
guys. It was great.
That was
It's
awesome.
very cool. The next team will be SIGH Finance, and if they could join here and share their video, that would be great. And I'll sound like a broken record by the end of this, but yeah, make sure you enable audio.
So we're skipping IPDB for now.
We have created SIGH Finance, which is a money market protocol, while also supporting a financial model driven by the token SIGH. So to understand
think
how
we
it
see
works, the
the
first thing is
deck.
that SIGH tokens are inflationary, and it will have a 1% inflation rate for the initial 96 days, and then it will keep
Is that
getting
just me?
halved.
Yeah, is there a video? I don't see a video.
Sorry, yes, we just see your desktop right now.
There's screen, two screen, I think.
And also jumping in, we will get to IPDB, but they're just not here at the moment.
Yeah, visible?
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. So as a
catch.
part of this hackathon, we have created SIGH Finance, which is a money market protocol, while also supporting a financial model driven by the token SIGH. So to understand how it works, the first thing is that SIGH tokens are inflationary, and it will have a 1% inflation rate for the initial 96 days, and then it will keep getting halved every year for next 10 years. It also has a loss minimizing distribution mechanism. What we mean by that is that we are distributing these tokens among the market participants based on the losses suffered by their supported market over the past 24 hours, and this speed is adjusted every hour, and it is the distribution is being done on a per block basis. Another thing is that we have a value aggregation mechanism. What we mean by that is that we have a treasury model where we regularly purchase Bitcoin, and the overall idea is that the Bitcoin purchased in 2020 or 2021 that will be kept within the treasury and sold back in around like 2027 or 2028 to purchase our tokens back from the market and burn them. So the inherent idea is that the initial total supply, which will be 5 million SIGH tokens, should be equal to the final supply after 10 years. This will be achieved by capturing the value from Bitcoin and other crypto assets, and then driving it back within the protocol by purchasing our tokens back after we get some sufficient profits from the treasury reserves. So this is the overall distribution mechanics, efficiently catching data and better basis, and it's add them to the markets based on the losses made by that market over the past 24-hour basis. So what it inherently achieves is that, as you can see here, the blue line is the uh, actual graph of a crypto asset, for example Bitcoin, and the red line is a value adjusted graph which will be experienced by our protocol participants. So inherently, whenever the market goes down, we are providing them our tokens, so implying that we are resolving the crypto volatility issue pertaining to the money market use case. For example, if you deposit Bitcoin worth $12,000 today, and although you are earning interest, but if the Bitcoin's value itself goes down, so then you will still be in losses. We are inherently trying to resolve that, and over time we are planning to take it forward by adding the custodian infrastructure and trading tools over our treasury, and adding digital investment assets to the as a markets which will be supported by our protocol. Uh, so the website is live, as you can see here. It is still being in active development, and we are constantly adding and developing it every day. We are planning to take it live on common testnet in terms of allowing everyone to basically uh, use it and interact with it, uh, which we plan to achieve by next week. So as you can see here, you can supply asset, borrow asset, redeem asset, and this is the treasury model. Uh, it uses the 0x API for getting the data and executing the transactions. So here you can see the sell amount, the purchase amount that will be bought, and the price and the guaranteed price. We can execute the trade. Although this is currently not working on common testnet, so Yeah, so that the trading part itself for 0x API that needs to be tested, and for the getting the data, we are using our subgraph uh, and the Marlin protocol to reduce the latency basically. Yeah, so this is our submission for this hackathon. Thank you.
Very cool. Moving on to questions, and I will remind you when you have 1 minute left.
Yeah. So hi,
Well,
SIGH Finance team here, open to questions.
yeah, Raul, thank you for that presentation. It's interesting. You covered a lot of ground, I have to say. So I would love to just pitch it back to you for like an explain like I'm 5. So so basically, people deposit their assets in, and there's a basket of assets that are supported
Right.
due to the Oracle necessity, and a governance token is being distributed, governance over this treasury, and it will go to the worst performing asset in the basket.
Right, right. Another thing is it is actually not a governance token. So it won't be basically used for voting because like if we look at the comp distribution, that is based on liquidity that is being provided. But what we have created is kind of a financial model, which is trying to address a certain use case. So we don't think that it should be used for governance because it is not kind of capturing the actual you can say liquidity or the participation value that the individual lender is providing to the protocol. What we are kind of trying to do is minimize the losses. And another thing which is different from comp or ARV is that although during launch we will be having like cryptocurrencies basically like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that, but going forward we basically plan to add, you can say, financially engineered products, so basket of tokens. So it won't be like individual cryptocurrencies, it will be like market indexes, like the thing like tokens that SATS is doing, or the kind of vault based strategies which are being introduced, but that will be tokenized and that will be supported. So inherently what it means is that you can buy a market index, and if the market itself goes down, we are trying to cover that losses basically. And since the governance tokens, the initial value is basically decided by the market, but going forward, let's say once we have a certain value, let's say we get 10 million market cap basically, then we'll buy certain Bitcoin, and then basically we're kind of capturing permanent value basically. And like 2025 onwards, we'll be starting to sell that, purchase our tokens back, because we think this basically we're kind of going long on this market, and at a later point of time we are like supplying that value back to the protocol.
So the buyback and burn made sense to me.
Yeah.
In terms of increasing the value of the token, I guess.
Right. Right.
But so now that you're saying that this token is issued to the entire basket, it sounds, of all these different assets, then how is the distribution differed based on the ones that have dropped? Is that still
basically we are capturing like price snapshots? So every hour we take a price snapshot, what is the current price, and to adjust the speed we compare it with its price which was 24 hours back, and if it is reduced, only then they are provided our tokens. So if you are making profits, then you are not getting any token. So it's kind of like the distribution is kind of taking a short view of the market and capturing the losses, while treasury is going long over the market.
Yeah, this is really interesting. So what's like your plan for this project?
I plan to basically take it live. The thing is, I am not. I want to get it audited. So currently, I am kind of testing it and developing it and integrating it. After this is done, in terms of financial modeling, that is completely off-chain. So that will be like AI based, or like we can have Python libraries and all that. So I'll be also doing that, and then looking forward to like getting some audits, because I think I want to do it properly. So I don't want to launch a unaudited kind of thing. Yeah,
right.
It's kind of bootstrap. Yeah.
I have 2 questions really quickly. So number one, when you say that you let people create indexes, is that anyone can create their own index? Like I'm allowed to create my top 50 cryptocurrencies, or like top 3 non-bullshit protocols. Is that something I'm allowed to do, or like how does that work?
I think we will provide that service, but in terms of adding that to the lending protocol, like allowing your created market to be provided SIGH tokens, that will be based on governance.
Okay. And then second question, when you say you're going to take profits and keep it long on the underlying asset, you said you're going to do it in Bitcoin. Is there a reason why you chose Bitcoin over Ethereum?
Because I think currently like institutional money is starting to come in, and it is currently 3%. Like 3% of total Bitcoin is within the institutional treasuries basically. So I think over the next 5 to 7 years it will move to 50%. And another thing is that this is kind of a bootstrapping model. I kind of pitched a private equity based tokenized idea to my company, which is an investment bank, and they are kind of slow, so during this COVID time, I kind of just created it, and I think it can help me bootstrap my overall idea. And the treasury thing is, over time, I want to make it blockchain agnostic and add the custodian infrastructure. So we can also add security token and all that. So like it's not limited to cryptocurrencies. Initially, we are beginning from cryptocurrencies, but it's basically tokenized assets.
Okay, so
basically.
you actually want to have like a diversified portfolio in underlying
Yeah,
assets to
yeah.
take profits in, so that you're holding it all
Right,
in. Okay,
right.
that makes sense. Okay.
We are a little bit over time, so we're going to have to cut it there. Thank you very much, Rahul. And we're going to move on
Great
to the
work.
next team, which is
Thanks.
onboarding-emyto. Emyto, I hope I got it right. If you could share your screen and make sure that audio is on, that would be great.
Hello guys, I'll be sharing my screen. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to share my audio with the screen sharing. So there is better.
Onboarding-emyto that is trying to make Ethereum simpler to use. So we're working on emyto, that is a separate project, and we're tokenizing containers, and we want normal people without prior knowledge of Ethereum to use it. So we had to simplify the user experience for them. So we're trying to make Web3, in this case Ethereum, intuitive and familiar. Basically, we need to make the creation of wallets and transactions simpler. So the requirements were remove key management, no signing transactions, no prior knowledge, and to make Web3 feel as Web2. So how does it work? We got on the backend, onboard money API that handles the Ethereum. It's a wrapper that generates an abstraction, so we can manipulate the elements in a much more simpler way. So private keys are stored on their servers, and we only have a Node.js server that handles users, and on the front end we got Bootstrap and a ESJ for the presentation. So the app is up and running on simple.xyz. So here I'm gonna log into an already existing account. So go to test. So we're in our home. We got some ETH balance, and we have our address here. This is our token. So we're gonna have a destination address that will be my Goerli testnet wallet. Here you can see I got 0.06 ETH. I'm gonna send some of it. So I wanna send this amount in way to my address. I'm gonna send. So it won't prompt me for any signing transaction, nor do I need to know anything about gas prices. So all this is handled in the onboard money API. So we can see there. I just received Ether into my account and I send it from here. Cool, so we can check the balance again. Nice. Also, we can create accounts. So I'm gonna create a test 1.0 account. I'm gonna do a password. I'm gonna create an account. This is also handled by the onboard money. So the pathing, it also takes a few seconds for everything to transact. That could be fixed by saving the requested intention of the user on the server or server, and then requesting from our server to onboard money, and in a later time update everything. So yeah, there we go. This time, my password. So there you go. Ethereum made it simple.
Super.
So, yeah.
Questions?
I have a question.
Yeah,
So
please, go
you
ahead.
had .xyz for your website. Was that chosen for the ENS benefits, or is that just coincidence?
No, I chose it really because it was, I think, the cheapest, one around.
Right, .xyz things are.
Yeah. But we're planning to use because using was ENS, is much simpler for users also, so they don't have to use the hexadecimal address. We were also thinking of using it in a later stage, but it would be
Great.
good to.
Full disclosure, I work for ENS. That's why I'm bringing it up. But I support you adding ENS to this project.
How was using onboard money? How was that?
It was pretty easy after getting the handle of it, because it's a very new project and it's being developed. There are some bugs still, but after we got it up and running, it's pretty good. It doesn't fail much, and we can get good information of the errors that happened, and so we can talk to the team and get feedback and solve the problems we're having on the run.
Okay, so the team was available. You spoke to them.
Yeah,
very cool. Who do you envision using this? Oh, sorry, Brennan.
I was gonna say, I just want a little bit of clarification. I didn't follow exactly. So you basically created a Docker, I guess, container for an EVM, like a get node kind of thing. Is that right?
Yes. Actually, we're tokenizing containers that are gonna be exported from Brazil onto Venezuela, and it's an investment opportunity for people because the content is crowdfunded, so people can buy very small amounts of the enterprise. So people that will be using this will have no knowledge of Ethereum. We are only using it as a register, basically. So users are normal people that are trying to invest in importing, exporting of elements.
So are these Docker containers effectively their wallets then, from what I saw?
No, how does it work is Onboard Money provides an umbrella wallet that lets us create, I call it smaller wallets. So the big wallet let us handles the request. Give me a second to organize. So we got this wallet address, and we got the user's wallets. What Onboard Money let us do is send transactions on behalf of the users using our wallet address. So that allows us to handle gas requests. We use the gas in our main wallet, so users don't have to own any Ether to create transactions. And it is indeed in a Docker. Onboard uses a Docker. We have a server that talks to our main wallet, and we send our intentions to their server, and transactions are sent to Infura, I believe.
Okay, I see. Makes sense. And so the idea would be that you cover the cost of gas just in a direct transaction costs to the end users then?
Yeah, we are subsidizing the transactions of our users, so they don't have to own any prior gas.
Okay.
All right, that is our 4 minutes. Thank you so much, Santiago. And
Very, very good work.
Next team will be ShareMyRPC. And when you join in here, make sure you turn on audio for the video.
Using payment channels from Raiden. Hello and welcome to my talk on ShareMyRPC, decentralized Infura using payment channels from Raiden. Next to the problem, running an Ethereum node is costly, providing the JSON RPC interface is voluntary, and it does put a strain on both bandwidth and computation. The JSON RPC does things like estimate gas for you, you can send transactions to it, and you can also subscribe or filter for events. Currently, most dApps rely on Infura for their RPC calls, which means there's a big risk of centralization. Now, my solution is to use to send money with each JSON RPC request to incentivize people sharing their JSON RPC servers. Now, my contribution is a Golang package for the easy interaction with Raiden, a wrapper around Go Ethereum's ETH client, which is the default way in Golang to interact with Ethereum, and it can be used as a drop-in replacement for ETH client, and what it does is it basically sends a payment attached to each JSON RPC request over the payment channel. And I also added some small changes to Go Ethereum so that the RPC server waits for a Raiden payment on incoming RPC requests. And I created this little demo app that executes some commands. Now to the demo app. On the left top side you can see the Raiden node, and on the bottom left side you can see a Geth node running. It is connected to Gurley. And on the top right side you can see the Raiden wizard, which contains our current balance in Wiz. And on the bottom right side you can see ShareMyRPC. And I'm now going to start a little demo. And what this demo does, it sends some RPC queries to the Geth node and pays for them using Raiden. So for example, here we query for the highest block number and send for this to the Raiden node. Here we estimate gas, we ask for the pending nonce for some account, or we send a transaction. The next test, we send some money to another node, so not the Raiden node, and see if the Raiden node still listens to our requests, serves our requests. And as you can see here, we send money to the 0 node, which is not in the Raiden network, so the payment is not executed. And you can see on the left side, the Geth node says that no payment was received for a call, so it received the JSON RPC call, but no payment over the network, so it returns an EOF, and the RPC call failed. The Raiden package. The Raiden package uses the Raiden REST API. On the right side, you can see an outline of all the functions available to interact with the Raiden network. It can be easily imported and used by other Golang projects, and it makes working with Raiden really easy. Thank you for your attention. I hope you liked my talk on ShareMyRPC. Let's decentralize Infura.
Fabulous. We got 4 minutes for questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this,
No, no.
I mean, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, so PoolTogether hits millions of requests per day with Infura. So we do definitely feel this pain of needing to distribute this workload a lot. So it's interesting to see this project. In your mind, I kind of have 2 questions, I guess. One, who have you optimized the payment from? Like either the users of the dApps or the dApps themselves? And do you envision any kind of discovery, like a marketplace for discovery for these nodes?
So regarding your first question, I don't know. I just developed it as a drop-in replacement for the current ETH client package. So I'm not sure whether, like in the end, this cost will be paid by the dApp developers or the users. So probably it will be in the end paid by the users, but maybe not in the beginning. And I already forgot your second question. Sorry.
Okay. Second question was just, is there going to be like a node discovery, like a marketplace of sorts?
Well, I think you could build something like this. Yeah, that would be really nice. I'm like, to be really honest, I just needed something to work on, and this was like the nicest project in the list. And I'm not really planning to continue it. But if someone is interested in it, I would love to provide some feedback and provide some pointers how to spin this out and move this forward.
Well, somebody needs to continue it because we do need to decentralize Infura.
Yeah,
Infura is great. I'm not against Infura, but we do need other options. I mean, the Infura people would probably agree. And this is right. This is an interesting way of doing it. It's too bad, though, that you said you don't plan on working on it necessarily further. What was the, I mean, but now that you're somebody who's like attempted to do this, what would you say is the hardest part of decentralized Infura? Like, since now you've thought about it.
Well, the hardest part in the project definitely was working with Raiden because like the documentation is a bit outdated, and creating like a wrapper around their API was a bit hard. I think in general, yeah, from the programming side, it's not that hard. I think the biggest problems would be around incentivization, like how to like, because most dApps use Infura and most smaller dApps also use Infura for free. So there's not much incentive for them to move to a paid model only for centralization. So I think, yeah, that's one of the biggest issues I would envision with this project in the long term. Just to get people actually to pay for the API requests, or to accept that they should pay for the API requests.
What was the hardest thing you came into?
Sorry, again?
What was the biggest problem that you ran into working on this?
Yeah, the biggest problem was that it's not easy to get your balance from Raiden. Well, it's easy to get your balance, but it's not easy to like subscribe to a new event, so you don't get notified with when someone sends you some money. This was a pretty big challenge. So you always have to poll for new updates. But this is like I abstracted everything away, so that you can just call a function, and if something changed in the last whenever, then you basically then you get the payment back, the last payment back.
All right, and that's our time. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
And the next team will be Etherealm. You could share your screen and make sure you turn on audio.
Hi guys, just a second. Sorry.
Hi everyone, my name is David, and I'm here to present you my project named Etherealm. So basically the purpose of this whole idea is to create NFT games from scratch, which mean basically to enable a website where you could enter all the rules and the conditions of your game, and it will be created on a blockchain with smart contracts generated automatically. So I just prepared here a little slide to show you how I wanted to divide the website. So basically, when I think like of a game which is NFT based, I thought about 3 different things. The first one obviously is the collectibles. This will be basically modeled by an ERC 721 smart contract. Then the tokens, and in the end, what are the rules that define the game. So I want to show you a demo of the website. So here you can see you can create a new game, mint collectibles, or upgrade game contract. We will focus on create a new game. So here you can choose a category. So let's say city, for example, and then you get basically from Wikidata all the available cities that are registered in Wikipedia. So that's pretty awesome stuff. Basically, you can create any game that you want with any collectibles, and it will be like ready here. Let's take, for example, I don't know, character from Star Wars, let's say, just random ID. So here you have all the characters. We will take an example with less items. So let's say planet of the solar system. There are only 8. Yeah, makes sense. So these will be my NFTs. If there is some item that I don't want in my collection, I can remove it, and that will define my first step, which is the collectibles. Then I can define tokens. So here let's define gold will supply 1 million. Silver will supply 10 million, let's say, I don't know. This will create basically for each line here, it will create an ERC20 contract. And then here in the last step, we can choose our set of rules. Let's say, I don't know, we mint a new NFT, so we transfer to the address automatically 1,000 gold. That's it. Once this wizard is done, basically the purpose is to deploy a smart contract for each part of the flow, so collectibles, token, and rules, and then you can start playing and deploying your game to wherever you want, and it's like made so easily. So that was my idea. Of course, I'm available for all questions, and thank you guys for listening.
Pretty cool. We got 4 minutes for questions, and I'll remind you at 1 minute.
Hi.
Hey man, that was super cool. How did you come up with the motivation behind this? What were you thinking? Like, because for when I look at this, the first thing that comes to my mind is like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I would love to have this, and like, I don't know, like Sunday nights, me and the homies. You know,
Yeah, exactly. So that's an awesome question. Basically, you're totally right. Like, I'm building this platform so I can build a game that I personally want to build. And I thought, if I'm building this game, why not building like some layer on top of it that would basically be the factory for other games like this? So I have an idea, like of taking like all the living people in Wikipedia and like do some game out of it with some conditions, like stuff that would be like you know, taken from oracles as well. Like if some external event happens in the real life, then it can have consequences also in the game. That's an idea that I didn't choose to show in the hackathon because it's not defined yet 100%. So I prefer to show this layer of like how to build games like this.
That's super cool.
Yeah, David, good job. I think it's really interesting. So you've now built this wizard for NFTs and ERC20s. What would the next step be? Do you want these games to start interacting with each other, or do you want to instead blow out the sort of individual game kind of maker aspect of it? What do you kind of envision this thing going?
So I don't think I would want to interact between games. I think the purpose of this wizard is basically to enable some people with like great imagination, and you know, like I'm sure that there's a lot of people who have like billion ideas of games interacting on the blockchain with NFTs and tokens. So the purpose is simply to enable them to do that without touching the code. without touching without writing Solidity contracts and simply using this. Potentially, I would monetize it by adding some token that will be like the use of the website, but I'm not sure. Maybe I will just keep it open source. I don't know. We'll see.
Be careful about adding a token, because once you do, then you're locked into having that token. You know what I mean? So be careful about that.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is really cool. So you plan on further developing this and having this in production and everything?
Yeah. There's still a lot of stuff to do. I mean, the contracts are not generated from A to Z. There's a lot of work yet, so I plan on continue working on this. So I showed you only the UI, but all the backend is not done yet totally.
Oh, so did we watch something that's entirely fake, or is there a smart contract?
No, it's not fake. It's not fake. It's not fake. There is some stuff, but it's not done. All the third steps with the rules. I think there is some complex stuff on this side. Further than only when you mint an NFT, getting some ERC token. I want to enable different kind of rules, and that's not yet. I didn't program it yet. I didn't have the time.
Okay.
Whose help do you need in order to take it to the next level? Say, this is now an open source wrapper or open source, platform to just build lots of games. Who do you need to make this, something that we all kind of engage with?
I think I need basically more time and more resources. I'm not sure yet. I don't think I could answer you with an exact thing that was missing. I will think about it if you want and get back to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, that's our 4 minutes. Thank you so much, David. It's a very cool project.
Thanks,
man.
Bye.
Very cool.
The next team will be Mainstream Crypto. You can share your video and share your audio.
Hi, I'm Viraj Anjan. For ETHOnline Hackathon, I worked on mainstream crypto. What is the purpose? The purpose is to make crypto mainstream by improving user experience and abstracting out complex terms. I want to create useful products for daily use. What are the features? It will include fiat on-ramp for crypto dollars, that is USDC. You can easily send, receive, or stream crypto dollars, that is USDC, using mainstream crypto. Sending or receiving USDC does not require ETH since it uses meta transactions. How it works: meta transactions is powered using Biconomy API. It uses transfer with authorization for sending USDC and permit for stream USDC approval. USDC stream is powered using Sablier. Now let me show a demo. Once you're logged in on the home page, then you will be redirected to this UI. Over here, you will see a buy button. When you click on this, then you will be redirected to fiat on-ramp where you can buy USDC. And then your account balance will increase. Now since I already have balance, therefore I'll try to send 1 USDC to this address. I'll click on send. Here it uses transfer with authorization. So here I'll generate a signature and then it will use Biconomy API to send the transaction using a relay. And the thing to note is ETH won't be required for sending USDC. Hence, I successfully sent 1 USDC to the recipient without using ETH using meta transactions. Similarly, I can create a sublet stream where I stream the USDC to the recipient from the start time to the end time. And here, for the USDC token approval, I'll use meta transactions again using the permit method. And finally, the recipient can then enter the stream ID and the amount to claim the stream amount later. What are the future use cases? One product that I want to build is streaming funds. This will be a venture fund powered by smart contracts using a stream. Multiple verified liquidity providers can stream USDC to fund manager. Here, the idle funds will be deposited to a protocol to earn interest. Periodically, stream funds can be claimed by fund manager. Liquidity provider can stop the stream anytime by paying penalty. All compliance and fund allocation will be recorded using smart contracts. This concludes the demo for mainstream crypto. Thanks.
All right, fabulous. We've got 4 minutes for questions, and I'll warn you at 1 minute.
Yeah, so I've got a question. This is great. Good job. So we've seen, there have been other projects out there attempting to do something like this, or like, how do we make it as simple as possible? There was one kind of a high profile one, Unilogin, which actually shut down because they just kind of ran into lots of problems.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what would you say is the hardest problem to solve, making crypto payments easy for the mainstream?
So one thing would definitely be login, and the other thing would be to solve for high value transaction cases, where say you could charge a transaction fee, for gasless transactions, and creating similar products on the top of them. Like, so my focus would be on high value transactions, like say remittances, like say from abroad you're sending it back to your country, or say for example a venture fund on the top of this, where you use a stream where the investors use streams and a fund manager manages. So these are the high value transactions, so where you can definitely charge a fee, if you make the experience more easy and if you improve the UX.
Thanks, Paraj. Yeah, that was interesting. So you've enabled essentially meta transactions, but it sounds like your intent is to have the cost of those covered based on them supplying that money to essentially a fund. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So that's what you're getting at in terms of having sort of a minimum sort of transaction size to sort of justify the cost of the meta transaction.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And so do you have any plans for that hedge fund kind of portion of it, of that sort of, I guess the investment vehicle, or is that sort of external to your system?
So I plan to write smart contracts for that, and whoever wants those, they can partner with me for that feature. Like say if a fund manager wants to start, so consider something like a rolling fund, similar to that, and but in crypto.
Okay, so it's actually sent to a person who can then go and invest it.
Yeah. So basically there'll be a fund manager who uses this platform, and he will then have his own investors, and he'll do the verification, and then KYC, and only KYC permitted users would be able to stream to him.
I see. Well, that's a complex problem. That's a lot of bureaucracy, I think, if you're not doing it in smart contracts.
Yeah. It will use smart contracts, but definitely there will be some layer of KYC involved, because these will be high value transactions.
Okay.
Right, makes sense.
How do you plan on doing the KYC? Are you planning on automate that, or do you plan on doing like individual kind of like sign-ons and,
So right now I'm considering different options. So one thing we could also consider Bloom if it's ready for production, if they have the features, or maybe some other option, but I haven't gone in deep, with that aspect as of now.
There's also like Everest. I think Everest has a tokenized KYC, and I think back in the maybe like 1 or 2 years ago, people working on like TCR, KYC. So, you know, there's
Yeah.
obfuscation there, so you don't actually know. That would be interesting. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
We got 10 more seconds. Any final comments?
No, I think this is awesome.
Yeah,
All
very
right.
cool. Thank you for the presentation.
Super. Thank you so much. And the next team will be IPDB. I almost said IPFS, but that's not the name. So if
Thank you. So let's start the presentation. Did I hit the, 1 second, did I hit the audio button? No, 1 second. Here we go. Hi everyone, my name is Singh. Today we're going to talk about this project, IPDB. At a high level, it is a database protocol for Web3. What do you mean? We already have decentralized database like TestFS and IPDB. So why do we need this? Let's talk about 2 use cases. Let's say we want to build a huge decentralized social network for everyone, and different teams want to focus on different DApps and functionalities of the social network. Instead of asking every team to use one specific database implementation such that they can share the data, it would be a lot easier if we have a standard protocol for structured data. Another case, during this critical time of COVID-19, we want to have real-time information about news and confirm the case from all sources and channels. Some teams basically put together a detailed website and make it available to the public for free. The problem is that the traffic is so huge that the team has to pay a large bill for the infrastructure and data flow out of its own pocket. So what if we have a public database that every hospital and government agency can publish its data to from the first place? So how should we implement this? Luckily, we already have IPFS, and we can extend its concept and apply it to database. Analog to content addressings in IPFS, the key concept of IPDB is schema addressings. So a schema ID is basically generated by hashing the schema, and which means the application no longer need to know which particular database server or endpoint that it need to connect to. It only need to know its schema ID that we want to use, and then we're able to connect to the Croco's IPDB service. This is the proposed architecture. We have IPFS as the core stack, and an IPDB node built on top of libp2p and TestFS to provide the database service. Then we can extend Filecoin to provide the payment and access control layer, such that the apps and users on the outer layer can take advantage of adopting IPDB easily and cost effectively. The ultimate goal is to make the ecosystem organic. For this hackathon, a MVP of the IPDB node have been implemented, and here is a quick demo of it. In this tab, we're running the TestFedDB in the background. This tab is showing a example data schema that we'll be using in this demo, which represent a CO2 sensor data. And we have developed a multi-schema package for converting that into a schema ID. In this tab, we are going to be running the IPDB service. We're going to be simulating some CO2 sensor data and publish it to the database. In this file tab, we are going to be running another instance for the IPDB client that will be subscribing to those sensor data that we just published. Thank you for your time. This is the end of the presentation.
Very cool. We got 4 minutes for questions, and I will hold up a little one more minute left when we have 1 minute left.
Thanks for that, everybody. That's interesting. So it's sort of like the schema definition layer on top of the content storage layer. And do you have any opinions around what schemas would be defined, or is it more of a like how much sort of how many conventions do you sort of stipulate rather than kind of having an open system?
So my idea is that it should support as many schemas as possible. However, we would like to converge down to one particular conventions. So we would like to consolidate onto a certain rules that how you put together that particular schema. For example, let's say for field names, then that standard would be let's say we want to have all uppercase for your field names, etc. Or there will be a limitation on how many characters that you can use in the field name, etc. So this is actually a golden opportunity to have a uniform conventions for everyone to use, because we no longer will be having dictated identity for the corresponding database on which server it is holding to. It's all about the data schema, and we would like to share that data schema as well. In this demo example, we're talking about sensor data, which is a very typical example. Is that there's so many sensors being deployed for our government or from our university agency that is supposed to be open to the public, but they're not in the same database because it's difficult because they don't talk to each other. So now we would like to put it onto a common ground. So the only thing they need to do is to follow some conventions, and then they should be good to go for using the same schema.
Interesting. It's interesting you digging into this world. What would you say is the biggest thing you learned from digging into these types of systems?
I would say the biggest things I learned is from the decentralized database white paper. There is only a few implementations like the TensorFlow and the IPDB. So it's actually a difficult problem. However, what the team are solving is not it's important, but then it did not make it all the way to the end user yet, because I would say this IPDB protocol is one of the missing steps.
What was your motivation for spearheading this project?
My motivation is that from a previous hackathon that we are trying to put together a have around a social network, decentralized version of it. However, we find, okay, we have so many of data in terms of like user follow another user, they like it or not. And if we do it with our own database, then that will be very much the same as the existing giant social platform that we own all the data. So how we can open this up and make it available for different kind of DFs and developers to share that workload for developing the social network. And I think the missing step is, okay, we do not have a common data platform. So IPFS is great, but then it's not for structured data. It's more for just a files. So it's difficult to share files between different applications. You want to share the data. So that's the motivations.
Do you have a vision for enabling that kind of coordination around schemas on top of this layer you've built now?
Absolutely. So a typical example is that we would like to have a search index such that people would like to use this can say, okay, is there any existing schema? I want this particular topic. For example, I want to publish some social network data. Okay, there's already certain schema already used. So well, it makes sense. So let's follow that. So so yes, that would be another piece that we need to put together.
Interesting.
Very cool stuff. I think that's all the time that we have for now, but thank you for this presentation.
Thank you very much.
The next team that we have is CortexHedge, and after them, we are going to be taking a 10-minute break. So if you could share your video and make sure that you have audio on.
So I'm just gonna play the video. Hi, my name is Marcus. I focused on economic modeling and smart contracts.
Hey, my name is Phil. I was responsible for the front-end development and helped with the brainstorming. Yeah, Marcus is gonna walk you through our motivation and some basic concepts.
So why do you need our protocol? In the current economic environment, it is hard to generate interest on your deposits. Lending platforms such as Aave or Compound offer attractive returns. But since stablecoins used in these platforms are denominated in US dollar, they pose a problem to investors outside of the US. The interest can be easily swallowed by exchange rate movements. Further, many different stablecoins lead to a more fractured financial system. So how does our system work? We create a marketplace connecting hedgers who take on exchange rate risk and combine them with European retail investors seeking a stable savings accounts. We use the Aave protocol to generate interest on the deposits and further use Chainlink as a price oracle.
Welcome to the CortexHedge homepage. Marcus just walked you through the basics, so we will head straight into the app. Okay, let's enable our wallet and take a look at what we see. First off, you can see this timeline. Let's act as we're an investor. So we are here. First off, we need to invest some ADAI into the pool to later get our tokens, which we can trade on other platforms. Okay, let's start with 100 ADAI into the pool. Here we go. And now we are going to deposit it. Okay, so we are in this first phase, the pool funding phase. Basically, we can now invest our ADAI into the pool where it can generate interest. And now we need to wait until the mint moment. Okay, our transaction was confirmed. So our money just went into the pool. As you can see here, this value decreased. So let's just assume we reach the mint moment. As an investor, this is a cool point in time. Now we can get the tokens that we wanted all the time. Just wait a second for the transaction to get through. And what will happen is we will get a EURU and a EURS transferred to our account. And we can now share the a EURS. Aha, here we go. So now we are in the trade token phase. Now it is our job to get this a EURS tokens to other people who are interested in saving euro using Aave. Without risking any exchange rate losses. Okay, let's just assume we did a good trade, we got rid of all our EURS, and the redeeming phase begins. This is where we will flip the coin and get the chance to earn some money as an investor.
All right, we got 4 minutes for questions.
Yeah, okay, this is really interesting. And you're right that we need a much bigger stable coin market beyond USD. Who do you envision as the primary users of what you built here? Like if it were to go into production?
So I think, like, as you might have seen in the video, we have like 2 important roles to play a role in our contract. I think on the one hand, these savers would probably be like just some medium-sized to like small retail investors based in Europe who basically get their income in euros and have their expenditures in euros. So it makes a lot of sense to have their savings quite stable in the currency they use for every day, basically, and not speculate with their savings accounts, which like most people, like even I, basically do when I use ADAI or CDAI or like some other interest-bearing stablecoin. And on the other hand, they're like these hedgers who basically take on these exchange rate risk, and we imagine these to be more financially sophisticated individuals who first of all like can take on some risk. On the other hand, might even be able to hedge these risk using some legacy financial system, using options, using swaps like on some big exchanges and so on, and would basically like earn some additional income out of that by selling their products basically for premium.
Very cool. So you're saying you actually see like average people in Europe using this?
Yes, this was
That's
the
cool.
aim of
Okay,
our, yeah.
So you've integrated with Aave, it looks like. So you do have some exposure across, you know, to a protocol. What do you say was the hardest part about building this system?
And so I think like both of us like just started Solidity programming. So I think in the end, everything's kind of hard. But in general, I think, yeah, so like actually like the integrating of the Chainlink oracles was quite easy. I think in general, it was quite hard to create an economic system which makes sure that both sides of the bet will always get paid out. I think we were like thinking a lot about like some more like flexible arrangement where people can just join in the pool and leave the pool again. But then we realized that this might result in just people leaving the pool once they are in profit, and like just staying in it like for the whole time, like otherwise. So I think like in the end, we kind of came up with some quite widget system where it's actually like just some time restrictions, and at some point everybody needs to leave. I think this was like one thing we discussed about a lot.
This is your first time building on Solidity or using Solidity?
Yeah, so like I had like I used some of these amazing resources that are available in the community, but yes, I think this was like the first like pet product, I guess. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Very
Good job.
cool. That's amazing. Do you plan on taking this, you know, to the next level? Do you plan on actually, because I think FX trading on crypto is very similar in some extents, and I think, you know, when talking about the degen community, right, I think it is like a very fine line between what an FX trader is and what a degen DeFi trader is.
On the other hand, like it's quite hard to like convince a degen of using a interest savings protocol which like hedges your exchange rate risk when they're like 5% and they do some crazy yield farming. But yeah, so I think we were thinking about continuing that, like maybe modularizing it a little, like decentralizing the control, because like until now, like the admin basically starts like a lot of functionality. But yeah, I think this would be the aim.
What's stopping you from committing to it and being like, okay, I'm gonna keep continuing on this project?
I think there's like nothing stopping us. I think like first of all, we need to like create a more robust like testing environment, because like while we are like writing the contract, there were like some bugs coming on sometimes, and I think like currently we don't have like the systems in place to check that properly. But yeah, this would be like the next steps.
All right, that was a very cool intro to Solidity project. So yeah, very nice. That's our time for questions, and we're going to take a short 10-minute break. After we come back, we are going to have Croco Finance. I don't know, it's one of those. Feel free to turn off your cameras, and we will meet back here, I guess, 2 minutes after the hour, wherever you're located. All right, we're almost ready to return here. Great. And so now I think we're ready to start our next video. If you could share your screen and make sure the audio is on.
Hi, I'm Robert from Croco Finance, and let me show you who we are and what we have built for ETHOnline Hackathon. We are a team of 2 people. I was responsible for the front end, and my friend Jan was responsible for backend. And the goal of our project was to help liquidity providers understand their money flow. We came up with this idea when we realized that we don't know if we are profitable or not on our own liquidity pool positions because of the high transaction fees and relative price changes. So let me show you the demo. This is our landing page where we ask the user to give us his Ethereum address. The address is the only input we need from the user. So I will do that, and this will redirect me to our dashboard. Right now we are fetching data about pools that belong to user's address. We see there are 3 pools associated with this address. Let me choose keep ETH pool on balancer. I see how much fees I earned, what were my yield farming gains, what were my transaction expenses, and what was my impermanent loss compared to buy and hold strategy. If I sum up all of these numbers together, I get negative numbers, which means that I am not profitable compared to buy and hold strategy on this particular pool. So this was dashboard, the place where we show the user his current balances in pools. But we have another feature called simulator. So let me go there. In simulator, the user can try how changes in assets prices affect his portfolio value. So right now I am in my keep ETH pool, and I want to know what happens if price of keep doubles. So let me double the price of keep, and I see that my loss on the right increased by $1,500. So, and I want to see what happens if price of keep goes to 50% of its current price. Yeah, I see that I will be profitable compared buy and hold strategy if price of keep goes to 50%. And user can play with these values however he wants. And see, we can do this for Uniswap and Balancer. And in case of Balancer, we can do this for arbitrary amount of tokens in pool and arbitrary weights. So that was it. And let me tell you how we made it. So the first, we had to do the math. We had to derive formulas to compute impermanent loss and fee rewards on Uniswap on Balancer. And once we had it, we could build it. And on backend, we use the graph and Python. And on front end, we use React and TypeScript. And our future plans. So the first step is to improve current state of the app, to brush all the things we didn't manage to finish until the hackathon deadline. And the next step is to support more interactions with the user. We want to tell the user, for example, what is his impermanent loss and notify him that his impermanent loss is very low and maybe it's a good time to withdraw his funds. Another step is to show more insights and support more decentralized exchanges. And another step is, of course, follow the breakthroughs in DeFi and adapt to the situations and to look for new opportunities. That was it. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, this looks great. I mean, highly practical. And you're right. I mean, it's like automating all the math that people are trying to do. Very useful. Do you plan on putting this out in production, or is it already out in production? Or?
Yeah, it's already out. You can go to Croco.finance and try it on your own others. Yeah.
Like we have few things we want to sort out, like the instability of graph. So currently we are just loading it from the graph directly, and we would like to create our own database and put it in it so that it's more stable. And we also want to show users historical data, but it's useful now.
Very good.
Yeah, really excited about this. This is something that's really valuable that I could use in my toolbox as well, in terms of understanding what you're doing with these different investment strategies. I think that's really valuable. It's interesting though that you, it sounds like instead of using the contracts directly, you've actually mirrored a lot of the calculations in kind of like a simulation. Do you have any plans to sort of like either fork mainnet or just utilize the smart contracts themselves to do the calculations to kind of do your simulations?
So do you mean that we would replace our own calculation in TypeScript and use the real one?
Yeah, use the smart contracts to calculate.
Oh, actually, we have not yet thought about it, but I think that we will definitely verify the data more. Like what we have now seen, what is coming out of our calculations, it is aligned with what we see in like cumulative statistics on uniswap.info. So we have not yet felt the need, but it's definitely something we will keep on our minds.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I feel like you could add so many protocols if you could generalize it. Mm-hmm. Then you could just like pull all the historical data, run the engine, and just see what happens to the numbers. But regardless, what we have seen is amazing. You know, regardless of where you've got the numbers from. So
thank you. It's a really good idea. We have just not thought about it this way.
Yeah, and I like your UI. I can't remember, whoever was talking said he did the front end, and I thought it was good.
Robert designed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Just like a lot of projects don't necessarily, you know, because it's a hackathon, don't have good UIs, and you guys did have a good UI. So good job.
Yeah, thank you.
So do you plan on, because I feel like this is very valuable. Do you have any plan on pursuing this in some way after the hackathon?
We definitely want to like create it as our, like we definitely want to pursue it. We would like to also maybe commercialize it in the future, and we want to like put our own like whole weight behind it. That's why we've played with the UI so much, because that's something we definitely want to continue on doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see this being valuable as making a lot of these, you know, LP scenarios trackable to people, so they actually know what they're doing with their money. So very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, there is a huge amount of features we would like to explore, but this is what we have now. Yeah.
Well, where would you like to go? What's part of your vision? What are some future features?
Well, I know that like some volatility predictions are difficult, but we definitely want to work more on like user insight, like from the fee point of view. So for example, we would like to do some fee estimation into the future, and like what the user can expect. Basically, we want to answer to user whether it is worth it to be an LP in that particular pool. And like at this point, we are just showing him basic data from the blockchain, but we definitely want to continue on doing like more sophisticated estimation of how the fee might develop into the future and such. Like both of us, we have studied machine learning as our main education, so we would like to go this way.
Interesting. Right on.
All right.
I think that'd be super cool. Sorry, just one really quick question.
We'll get one.
How easy is it to snoop on someone else? Like, say I want to, like, I mean, I do this personally when if I'm looking at other people, how other people trade. I sort of just, you know, make my strategies around what other people do. How easy is it for me to just pull different things and kind of aggregate my data set to see how, you know, if I were to hypothetically like collude a bunch of pools together, or like have, you know, big whales coming together and create a giant kind of I guess moving whaling.
Okay, so on the input it is just an Ethereum address, so we are free to put in whatever address you want. So if, for example, you manage to like stalk someone on Twitter and determine like what his address is, it would definitely like show you all about his positions.
Is there ENS support?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I think that's our time. It's a very cool project. Thank you so much.
Guys.
Okay, thank you guys.
Next presenter is 0xmons. You can please share your screen with audio. Oh, you seem to be muted. Okay, There we go.
Oh, hi. All right, let's get going. Hello everyone, today I'd like to introduce our project, 0xMons, neural net generated pixel monster NFTs. So the two people behind this project are me, Owen Shen, and Zephram Lowe. So I was responsible for the front end, machine learning algorithms, smart contracts, and the back end. And Zephram was responsible for the front end and the smart contracts. So we worked jointly on those. So what 0xMons is it's an NFT project. So it's got the smart contracts up on the blockchain, it's got a front end to interact with it, and a server which serves up the images to other services like OpenSea. And what's cool about our NFTs is every monster is unique and AI generated. So that includes the image, the animation, and the name. So I'm going to bring up our application, which is now live on mainnet. So this is our homepage. You can see samples of different monsters that our neural net spits out. And users will be able to go to Summon, where they can either purchase a monster directly, or they can burn a gem, which is an NFT from a previous project. Once that transaction goes through, they can then go to their bestiary and view all of their available monsters. So in this case, I have 4 of them set up. Series is a value that updates as we add new monsters to be minted by the smart contract, and bits here are some unsafe pseudo-random values that we get when the monster is minted. These also come with a direct link to the OpenSea page, so users can view their monster and sell them. If we go to the OpenSea page for all of the monsters, you can see all of the different monsters that have been minted and their wide variety of names, colors, animations, and so forth. So our 0xMons project overall is broken up into 4 pieces. We have the front end, which we've just seen. That's built in Angular with Web3. We have the back end, which actually serves up the images, acts as the API for the token URIs. That's written in Node, and it's hosted on Heroku. We have the smart contracts, which are written in Solidity. Testing is done with Truffle. And the pixel art, which is sort of the thing that ties it all together, is done in Python, and we use PyTorch for the actual machine learning models. So talk a little bit more about how that actually works. We have a generative adversarial network which we've trained on thousands of pixel art images. Once that's done, we can essentially feed in input noise and get out things that look more like shapes. So we feed it in 64 by 64 input noise, and if it looks like something good, we'll keep it. Then we'll perturb the noise, so that means adding a little bit of additional randomness to it, and that'll give us extra frames that are perturbed slightly in the output. Then we roll the images, and then we stitch them together and upscale to 128 by 128, and that gives us something like this. So if we go to this Jupyter notebook here, you can see an example of one of these images being selected, being saved, and then all of the frames being outputted and stitched together. So that's the overview of our project. What we'd like to do next, the biggest feature we'd like to add is merging. So this is already enabled in the smart contract. We just have to figure out how to do this at scale server side, but users can essentially merge 2 of their monsters to get something that has attributes from both. We'd also like to find a better way of storing the actual seeds, the input noise which produces the monster on chain, probably in a separate contract. And of course, battling. It's like the most exciting bit when people talk about monsters. We're probably a ways away, but having some game that actually utilizes these tokens would be very exciting. So that's our project, and thank you very much for your time.
Interesting. So just so I understand, because these are generated, if you have the seed, you can regenerate the same things, correct?
As long as you also have the model parameters.
Okay, so if you have the model parameters, you have the seed, you can auto-generate. Okay, so that means that you're less dependent on storing like the file on a server somewhere on IPFS or something. Okay, that's interesting. Good.
Thanks, Owen. That was really interesting. I'm curious to know a little bit more about the token model. So what is the burning of these tokens, is that kind of like payment in that sense? This sort of like, you're summoning this demon, burning these tokens. Is that value imbued in this NFT at all?
Yeah, so I didn't do the previous thing, so I didn't talk much about it for this project because that was something separate from the ETHOnline. So the idea is that there was a previous project where users can get staking rewards as an NFT, and this is an extension to this to sort of reward users. So they could either burn the NFT they get from staking to get the monster, or they can purchase directly. So there's not a lot of additional sort of economic incentive to holding the monsters at this point. there might end up being some rewards once we get battling fixed, but right now it's mostly just like experimental novelty. Like most NFTs generally have like some combinational approach with like 10 choices for heads or tails, but now we have like very unique monsters for each NFT.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I actually have a follow-on question to what Brantly asked. So it sounded like, so we have a seed and then we have some model parameters, and using that, you can regenerate the model. But out of curiosity, once they're minted and once you want to merge them and kind of combine them, where does it pull that data from? Where does it come from?
So my current solution for doing the merging is now that the model parameters, or they're currently just being like stored to S3, but we like find some linear combination between them and then we run the model again, and then I have to upload that again to S3. The smart contract handles the actual merging of the NFTs. So like the on-chain records keep track of which are the parents and like what the randomness looks like once it gets like added together. But the actual image generation of that stuff is still happening off-chain.
Okay. Do you have any ideas for battling? What do you want to do first?
Yeah, so
like, what does battling of these things mean?
Yeah, so there's the way that I've been thinking about this is right now every monster is getting some like unsafe random bits, but like money's not on the line, so that's not an issue so much. It's just like the block hash of the previous block number. So thinking of like interpreting that as some sort of stat distribution, and then going for like some simple one-on-one battling that's like Pokemon-esque.
Interesting. Yeah, I really like the machine learning and kind of mutation aspect of it. Like maybe even if in a battle you could burn both, but then they get regenerated, but with a slight mutation, of what they were before, because the battle affected them in some way, something like that. I feel like there's a lot you could do there. I really like where you guys are going with this.
Yeah, I think the dynamism aspect is probably like the underexplored bit that we can keep iterating on.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, sorry, we asked the same question. What do you plan on doing next? Do you plan on continuing the project?
Yeah, so merging is all set up in smart contract. I'll probably be working on the scripts to get it working offline this weekend. I hard capped it to 90 monsters and they've all been distributed. So hopefully we can get everyone who has them the chance to like start merging them and we can see what sort of new combinations pop up. And then I'll be thinking about probably the game dev aspect and like which parts are good for on and off chain resolution, which will probably be in a separate contract.
What's your roadmap look like? Like, are you planning on doing this as like a pet project, or a side monster project?
Yeah, I think it'll be side project until I can think of a good funding model. I mean, right now it's just like direct sale or like do the staking thing, and some people did buy them directly, so there could be something there. But yeah, probably like more part-time than full-time for now.
Yeah,
this is super cool. Thank you so much, Owen. That's a super cool project.
Very cool.
Next presenters will be instcryp. You go and share your screen with audio.
Hi, I'm Sunny Radadia. This is my project called instcryp. So instcryp is a automated NFT marketplace in which if you want to take part, this is my project called instcryp. So instcryp is a automated NFT marketplace in which if you want to take part in instcryp, so you first need to start with the pod system. So pod is something like PoolTogether, you can understand. So where user comes with the stablecoin DAI or USDC, and in return, smart contract will give stablecoin backed NFTs. Okay, and that NFTs will keep with user. We will keep with user, and during the time duration of a chain pod, Chainlink alarm clock run, and when the time completion, Chainlink alarm clock recognizes, and it automatically calls the Chainlink VRF function to declare the winner among the participants. So once the winner is decided, so interest will calculate it, and on the basis of interest, one NFT interest NFT will generate it, which is backed by interest all the interest of all the participants, and that NFT will send to the winner. Okay, and once the pod is finished, then all the NFTs of the participants and the interest NFT also will send to the piggy bank contract. So piggy bank contract is like a sushi swap. Okay, so where yield farming is generated. So whoever the NFTs staker or like participant will all the participant will eligible for the piggy NFTs. Okay, so in return of his NFTs, they will get piggy NFTs. So even if the any participant doesn't win any pod winner, so then he can earn the interest from piggy bank contract also, and piggy bank contract will use that stable coin in some other ways like compound and Aave, the lending protocol or Orion. Okay, so let's get back to the demo. Okay, let me open the demo. So this is our project. Okay, so here you can create any pod like this Aave compound yarn, total winner, like multiple winner. You can also select a pod name, join amount, total days, how many days. So I already created the pod. Okay, now let me join this pod with $10. Okay, because for this pod I set the 10 die minimum, so it should be okay. Let me join first. So as you can see over here, so that pod yield pod 5 has this much of a yield generated from 2 address, and this is the winner address. It is declared by automatically Chainlink VRF. So Chainlink VRF called by Chainlink Alarm Pro. Okay, and this is the new pod created by of 15 minutes, and that our last pod details comes here. So so owner can disperse this amount. Okay, are you sure? Then it will be dispersed automatically. Okay, so once it's disbursed, then all the NFTs and interest NFT comes to the piggy bank contract. Okay, so here you can see all the participant NFT. I have already take part in 4 pod. Like this is the token ID of NFT, and this is the worth of the NFTs, $10. So I can read, and this currently this all NFTs are stays in piggy bank. So piggy bank gives me piggy NFTs. So here you can see I already earned 1200 piggy, and this is my claimable piggy. So once I disclaim, it will be 0, and my total and piggy will be increased. And this is the total supply. Okay. This is the total supply, and once I will claim, it will be total supply will be also increased. So this was the project, and so it is like NFTs market. So, okay, and this is the winning NFT I already showed you. Yeah, so I hope you guys like this my NFT automated NFT marketplace. Thank you.
All right, we got 4 minutes for questions.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, can you hear us? Hello?
Yep.
Okay.
Hello.
So quick question, why NFTs?
Yeah, so why NFT? So I was thinking like NFTs. So each NFTs is defined by different amount of different amount of tokens. So each NFT has a different amount, right? And so second point is like each like by NFTs we can decide that what is the engagement like how is the engagement of the user with the platform. So we can measure the decision in future. So like user has this type of engagement with platform. So in the future distribution plan, we can distribute the some other tokens like some other yield on the basis of that. like uniqueness in price and also for distribution in future. Some other plans come in platforms, so we can decide on the basis of community. I was thinking like that.
Okay.
Okay,
So
interesting.
then,
Continue.
I don't know, Brantly, go.
I was going to ask a different question.
Okay, so really quickly, just in terms of, I guess, liquidity and being able to, like, I guess, eventually you'd want to not just claim your NFT, but also have some, you know, take the money from the NFTs, right? So how do you have, like, who is going to provide the, I guess, demand side?
Who is going to do?
Like,
Sorry,
who's going to cash you out of your NFT, my
okay.
Aave, right? My ADAC.
Okay. Okay. So at the like after the pod session, there is the interest NFT and participant NFT goes to piggy bank, right, automatically. So that piggy bank from piggy bank, user has the feature like redeem single NFT or redeem all NFT. So using that, so if the user press the redeem all, so interest NFT, which is our winning NFT, and all the participant NFT will be redeem, and it single then as per that.
So you actually redeem your funds, redeem your piggy into an NFT. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, like I want to make like I want to introduce NFT like I want to make the bridge between NFT and fungible token. Using that, and after that we can create an NFT marketplace. So each NFT will be unique by price, and the like after we can decide the interest NFT marketplace also. Only what those are the only interest NFTs.
Okay, so the NFTs are earning interest then, is that right?
Yes. Yeah. When user will deposit the tokens, they will get the participant NFT, and when the winner is declared by the Chainlink VRF, at that time one interest NFT automatically generated, and that interest NFT goes to the winner, and that.
See. So it's sort of like PoolTogether, but you attach the winnings to an NFT and then give the NFT to the winner.
Yeah, I want to integrate the PoolTogether, but I joined late this hackathon, so I tried to PoolTogether, but I didn't. So I make my logic instead the use of PoolTogether. So and then I saw some YouTube videos like NFT is going very boom, so I thought I should integrate it, and then I saw SushiSwap also. So for extra fund, like if any user doesn't win any pod winner, so they can even earn the interest using piggy bank contract, where if a user collect the mass of NFTs like 10 participant NFT, then he will also able to earn the interest from piggy bank if he doesn't want the interest from a pod like PoolTogether.
Interesting. Right on.
What was the most complicated part of building this?
Yeah, in starting phase, I want to make two things important, like automate the whole process, and so automate for like a winning automation. So currently platform has winning automation is winning things are automation using Chainlink alarm clock and Chainlink VR. So starting Chainlink VR, I don't know how to integrate both things together. So after sometime I'm able to integrate Chainlink alarm clock and Chainlink VR, so I can automate all things. And the second is multiple winner strategy. It's difficult for me, so eventually I did, but yeah, it's take a two time.
Interesting.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to move on to the final team for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
The final team will be Transparence.
Hi.
Screen
Yeah.
and turn audio on.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't think we have audio for the video. You may have to re-screen share.
Oh, sorry. Wait. Yeah, is it okay now? Wait. That way. So this is a presentation of the project Transparency, which is the French for the project Transparence, which is the French for transparency. What I aim to do with this project was to bring more transparency to the Ethereum ecosystem. Because we have new projects, we add new complexity to the ecosystem, as we have seen with DeFi, and it's important for the user to be able to get the actual data that we have on the blockchain, since it's on blockchain, but we need to verify. So what Transparence does is give a tool for user to check some interesting data and get some sense, some guarantee from the blockchain. The project I focused on was TBTC, which is the idea of minting and having an ERC20 that represents bitcoins on the Ethereum blockchain. So there's a transparency for that is fairly simple, is to check that the Bitcoin is actually locked, like find the transaction where the Bitcoin is actually locked on the Bitcoin blockchain, and then check that everything happened and everything is fine on the Ethereum blockchain. Due to the time of the hackathon, I only focused on the Bitcoin side. So that means interacting with the RPC server and getting the data that are of interest. So what, of course, that means first you have to have a full node, and so the idea to have both full node on Ethereum and Bitcoin and be able to interact with that. So and that's done, I developed some function to be able to get the actual data. The idea being at the final function will be to send a timestamp and a transaction and an address we want to study, and retrieve the actual transaction where the mint or redeem parts are happening on the Bitcoin side. So yeah, and to do that, I had to develop some function to, for instance, get the transaction we need, the hash, and especially the timestamp, because when you give a timestamp on the Bitcoin, it doesn't give you the exact block that match that timestamp. But so I developed a function to be able to get a range of the blocks, and then from there on I can explore that transaction. Also have some function to extract the input and the output to be able to filter later on. So from there on, I can show you what I managed to do. So here we have just a quick execution, like just a quick call of those functions, and we can see the transaction. But then what is interesting, I fix one transaction and I just look at what are the inputs and the outputs, but mainly the address. So we see like all the addresses that are available on that, and I can do another execution, and then find the block that is relevant. For instance, here I tried to compute the range from the block, so I have this block, and then we find a range of block to explore, so a little bit before and after, so we can just check if everything is, now we can check if you have the transaction of interest in there. So yeah, thank you. So this is a presentation of the project. Yeah.
Great. You got 4 minutes for questions, and I'm sorry for butchering your name earlier because it's Transparence and not Transparence.
Yeah, it's fine.
Very cool, man. So question, what is the general motivation here? And I think what I'm trying to get at is, who is the target demographic for this, and why is this important for them?
Yeah, I think the targeted people are users who cares about having the actual data and things onto the blockchain and be able to verify them with the full node. So the idea is someone who will have a Bitcoin full node and Ethereum full node and be able to check a lot of different projects. So the idea was, seeing yield farming and things like that, to get some measurement of which I call transparency. It's like measurement of health or stuff like that. So the one idea was, for instance, like you look at compound, people are taking loans and everything, but you might want to see when there's a liquidation price that might liquidate the whole network. So it's kind of the idea, to just build a lot of metrics all around the place with a lot of protocols, and to be able to show it to the user, and so they can also measure them on their own. So for TBTC, I like it because it's a cross-chain, and during my PhD, I had some experience with working with multi-chains, and I like cross-chain swaps and stuff like that. So it was very interesting to go check on both blockchain. But for now, I just did the Bitcoin side, and I need to interact with the smart contract for the next steps.
Being a really technically focused project, what was your hardest hurdle technically that you had to overcome?
Definitely understanding the actual structure of the data inside the Bitcoin blockchain. It's like I've done a lot on the Ethereum side, so I know how to interact and create the network and stuff like that. But once you start to get data directly from the blockchain, you have to understand the format and the way it's structured. And for instance, I still have one issue with Coinbase transaction, because on Bitcoin blocks, is that the first transaction is in there. And you might, when I explore it, I have to, it's a bit tricky to get the input-output like with the kind of a fake transaction. So so I still need to work on that part of the code. And the reason why I didn't do the Ethereum side is just like the binding. I like the binding of the smart contract, but then I had to understand the whole Solidity part and then translate that. So that would be a next step. So yeah. Generally, it's just like it's complicated to just interact with many blockchains at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Are there features that you wish you would have been able to add, but you just ran out of time?
Yeah, I think just basically just the basic stuff where I could actually carry Ethereum blockchain and Bitcoin, both of them. And also I didn't make the final function where I just send a timestamp and an address and get the transactions. Like everything is pretty much there, but I still have this issue with the Coinbase transaction, and I still need to filter it and just go through like 1,000 of transactions per block, and most likely I will need to parallelize a bit the work, because now it's just sequential. It just takes too long. So
very cool.
But it'll be so much faster when Lightning Network comes, right?
Coming soon. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah,
coming
sure.
soon. Almost.
Let's start bashing Bitcoin here. Let's go.
This is really cool though. I think when we actually do have a lot more cross protocol swaps, and when we bridge everything to Ethereum, things will be
I think I like this vision of internet of blockchain in general, beyond just one project and stuff. So
agreed.
All right.
Very cool.
And with that, we're about out of time, and we're all finished, all of them. So thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
We got a couple more days of judging for the remaining projects. So I'm told to mention the hackathon finale and summit next Friday, October 30th. And with that, thank you very much, Kenneth, Brendan, and Brantly. And we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for hosting, Henry.
Yep.
Take care.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.
You guys too.
Bye.
Bye.